day, all of you beautiful people. Welcome back to another week with Linda and all of the wisdom she's going to drop on us and knowledge on us. We're going to keep talking about excavating greatness. This is part 2 of it. I'm super excited. I've learned so much already just in the past few weeks that you've been doing this, Linda, and I've been able to share it with others. It's been really, really wonderful to,
Thank you.
and a real gift to have.
Oh, you guys are so nice. I'm going to just lay it out. It's completely selfish because it's helping me. It's helping me more than anything. You know, the teacher is being taught for sure. So I just want to see, like, check in. I know you can't talk to me, but how's everyone doing? This is yes. This is no. This is eh. Well, every day I am a different thing. Like one day I'm all, this is the greatest thing ever. And then the next day I'm all, I am so sad and I just want to eat cookies and watch Making the Cut or Never Have I Ever, 2 shows that I just have currently finished binge watching. And it's just so freaking hard because you just need to show up for each day and commit to showing up for each day and jumping in. And so my heart, in my heart of hearts, I just pray that I'm going to get emotional, read geek. I pray that I can say something from my heart that will help lift your heart in some way. That is the goal of my life, of everything that I'm doing. I have an author, and Gigi's going to put all of these titles up for you, that I love. That was my first introduction into personal development / leadership, and his name is Og Mandino. And he wrote a series of books called The Greatest Salesman in the World, The Greatest Salesman in the World, Part 2, The Greatest Miracle in the World, blah, blah, blah. And his book, The Greatest Miracle in the World, says something that I would, just 2 thoughts that I would like to have us have on our hearts as we continue this discussion on greatness. Let me share with you again the secret you heard at your birth and forgot. You are my greatest miracle. You are the greatest miracle in the world. Those were the first words you ever heard when you cried, and all babies cry. You did not necessarily believe me then, and nothing has happened in the intervening years to connect your disbelief. How could you be a miracle when you consider yourself a failure at the most menial tasks? How can you be a miracle when you have little confidence in dealing with the most trivial responsibilities? How can you be a miracle when you are shackled by debt and lay awake in the torment ever whence will tomorrow bring? And then it goes on to say, you are the most valuable treasure on the face of the earth, for you know who created you, and there is only one of you. There never in all the 70 billion humans who have walked the planet since the beginning of time has there been anyone exactly like you, and never until the end of time will there be another one such as you. I pulled that up, and I'm also reading another book right now by Jen Hatmaker called Fierce, Free, and Full of Fire. I'm living in that world. It's so good. And she writes, together, let's unweave the beautiful threads that make each of us exactly who we are and have a good look at them. Let's name them and own them and celebrate them and claim them rather than excuse, hide, or aw shucks the stuff that makes us human, the ways in which we thrive. We will honor them by exploring them in the 5 areas of who I am, what I need, what I want, what I believe, and how can I connect. To me, for me personally, these 2 quotes and ideas are how you excavate your greatness, how I personally excavate my greatness. We, along with a couple of people who are in this room, Samantha and Crystal and Katie, we went to a personal development conference, virtual personal development conference over the weekend, like you do. And we jumped around our living rooms and we heard talks and then we had to like download with each other later on and say, what did you get and how did you learn? And one of the things that really stuck with me was from a speaker, Donald Miller. And he asked Pete Carroll, when did you know you were special? And that's what I'm asking you. When did you know you were special? When was that moment in your craft? Maybe as an artist, it's, oh man, do you see how I turned from really pretty and lit to not so pretty? Because I was using a ring light so I could show up my most authentic self. But now I'm going to just be my most authentic self because it just stopped working. Anyway, whatever. Anyhow, we all at some moment in our life, at one moment, at a next moment, at a different, when we were 5, when we were 25, when we were 55, had a second where we went, you know what, I'm pretty good at this. I think I have something, we had a second where we knew we had a full gift. And I really challenge you to remember that moment. First moment, talking about it, and I was like, and then I would cook hot dogs and I would make dinner. Okay, so I would invite the neighborhood and I would force my brothers and sisters and my family to come watch my Mary Had a Little Lamb in my garage. And I remember after my first production, pretty awesome, I was 8, and then life covered, oh no, you're not as good as this person or that person. But the reality is we've had moments in our life where we felt greatness, and where so many people on this page where I have seen freaking greatness in you. The people I know, I'm just looking at it, and Ryan and Tate and Alex and Laurel and Brenda and Katie and Jen and Veronica and Megan and Crystal. I mean, the names Stephanie and Carrie Ann and Justin and my family, Brett Simmons and Grace Simmons and Hannah Simmons are watching, and Bert and Jill and and it's just like my heart. There are moments when I've seen you be great, and you have to ask yourself, are you great because you're the boss of things? No, you're always great. People ask me all the time, so Linda, I want to be a really great leader. I want to be a really great motivator, but I can only do it if I'm standing in front of people. And that, my friends, is a lie. It's a big, fat, ugly lie, because you can inspire and lift people and love people everywhere you are. Greatness is essential for both a leader and a follower. I love the song Purpose from Avenue Q. And can you hear me? There, I should be there.
There you are.
Here I am. All right. Did you hear me? Did you hear me say purpose? The song of purpose? Well, the reality is that's how we get to our greatness, is we got to find our purpose. We want to inspire people. And Simon Sinek, in his book, Start With Why, which everyone in the universe should read. Am I frozen still, Gigi, or am I good?
You're good.
Okay, thank you. Start With Why talks about how you need to know why you do what you do. Now, we all know what we do, right? I'm a singer, dancer, actor, factory worker, whatever. We all know what we do, and we all know how we do it. I know my process. When I'm going to choreograph a show, I dissect the music, and then I choreograph ugly choreography, and then I teach it to someone and it becomes less ugly, and then I re-choreograph it, and we all have our processes. So we know how we do it, but digging down to find out why we do it is a game changer. Because the why will change what you do every time. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the what we do that we forget why we started, why our baby young self, my 8-year-old doing dinner theater in my garage, why my 8-year-old self wanted to do dinner theater in the first place. What did that do? And there's a great author, his name is Dean Graziosi, and he really has a tactic and a way to excavate your why, how to find out your why. And he calls it the 7 levels deep exercise. And sometimes you can't like go, okay, why do I want to, I'm just going to take something super broad. Why do I want to do musical theater? That's a big old why. And then you go ask yourself why 7 times to get down to the base. Sometimes it's too big, so you have to ask yourself a small little part of the why. Like, why do I want to get this show? I want to get this show because I need the job. Why do you need the job? Because I'm not working right now. Why are you not working right now? Because I don't have a job. And you just have to keep asking yourself questions. Why? Until it gets down to a place where it's so raw that you know. So for me, I'm trying to think of an example. For me, an example would be, why do you want to do these Lunch with Lindas? Because I want to put positivity out into the universe, and I want to help people to learn things that maybe I've learned over my career. Why do you want to do that? Why in your career? Because I was not always the first one picked. Most of the time I was the last one picked. I was a sub, a swing. I always was like the 3rd, 4th audition down. Well, why were you that? I don't know why I was that, but I just kept coming back. Why did you keep coming back? Because it was super important to me. And you dig down and down. I have to get sometimes all the way down to like 17 whys. And then when it comes right down to it for me, as I did that exercise, it was truly because I hope that I can put positivity out into the universe, and I can say one thing that one person will hear that will help them. The end. So it's so important to just kind of dig in and find your why, which is hard, and you have to do the work. There's a quote that I heard last week, and it was, when opportunity shows up, when opportunity knocks on your door, she's going to look a lot like hard work. You know, so it all is part of a hard work. And as you walk through this exercise, the 7 levels deep exercise, it helps you to get a clear understanding and a clear meaning of behind the why, and why it's important for you to accomplish it. That's a lot, right? You're like, that was a lot of words to say, Linda, all in one thing. So you have to find your why. Number 1, you got to figure out what your purpose is. You got to figure out how to light that fire underneath your, you know what.
Linda, how do you find your why?
Well, you do those 7 steps, and then once you find it, you have to figure out what you're going to do next. Right? Yeah. So what do I do next? And here is 5 tips that I have used in my life, and I continue to use in my life, and they're constantly changing. The first one is you have to create a vision of what you want to end up. You have to know your end before the beginning. And I think it's not powerful enough to know, I want to end up strong, or I want to end up rich, or I want to end, you have to know who you want to be at the end. I think I shared this earlier, but when I was 18, I vision casted my life. And I have like 16 pages in a journal of what I looked like, what I felt like, if I was in a relationship, you know, and my 18-year-old stuff was, I was dancing on Broadway, and I had a partner who loved me and supported me, and and my favorite thing was to wear a brown leotard and black tights, and I was working, and I went through this whole thing. It was just page after page after page of vision casting. And so my life went on, and that never happened. I mean, I have a partner who loves and supports me, and I do love wearing brown, but it never happened for a super, super, super long time. And I had this opportunity where I was dancing. I was doing a job for Disney. My first job for Disney was the Hercules opening, and I was taking class with Michelle Asoff, and she had me come stand in the front, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm living my best life. And I was dancing to Man of La Mancha, and I looked out the window, and there was the Broadway sign that I saw out the window. And I was looked down, and I was wearing a brown top and black pants. And I was like, and I was married, and I was 34 years old, and I thought the dream was long gone. So it happened in a different way. Sometimes we want it to be what it is. We want it to be on our time frame. But most of the time, if you can just be patient and get out of the way, it will happen when it's supposed to happen. And of course, if you know me, you know that I started bawling my eyes out in class uncontrollably, and it was quite embarrassing. So tip number 1, vision cast. Know where you want to end, know where you want to start. Tip number 2 is you have to turn your adversity into an advantage. We all can't be 5'10" and have super long legs and be able to kick our legs really high. We can't all be whatever it is, but you have to go, okay, there's so much that is breaking me. I have to decide how I'm going to choose to do the work to have that not destroy me. How am I going to choose to do the work so that that won't destroy me? Because my friends, the dark voices in your head, they're super mean. They're super mean, and they do you no good. So really have to look and say, is life happening to me or is it happening for me? And here it is in our pandemic. A lot of times we feel like life is happening to us, but can we shift that mindset to how is it happening for us? How are we being able to accomplish things or do things? I was sitting at the table with my cute family last night, and I got really emotional because I was like, you know what? We don't normally have this time together. And it was wonderful. You know, I am quite certain that I drive everyone crazy. It's okay. I drive myself crazy. And there are days where all I want to do is lock my office door and not talk to anyone, you know. But we all have our spaces where we go to our things. And there are days. The reality is John Maxwell gives this example. He says, when you're doing a puzzle, and how many of you have been doing puzzles? When you're doing a puzzle, there's a picture of what it's supposed to look like that you can follow. But in life, there is no picture. You're given random pieces without pictures, without things. That makes it really, really, really hard. Number 3, you have to cultivate a champion's mindset. Now, if you've heard me talk about it once, you've heard me talk about it a million times. I am a follower of Ed Milet. He's amazing. And I infused this into the All-American College Band last year. Our mantra in All-American College Band was all in, max out, one more. And that means you determine how you're going to show up, and you show up all in. And then we work as hard as we can. And whenever it's the last time, you do one more. And Ed Milet talks about that. He says, if you do one more minute than anybody else, you will be better. Think about that. If you're working out, I'm going to go on the elliptical for 30 minutes. If you go on the elliptical for 31 minutes, 5 days a week, that's 5 minutes extra a week, which is 20 minutes extra a month. Oh, you know what I mean? I mean, do the math. It's hours and hours of hours. And if you do the work, you will be better. You do the work. It's like going to auditions. And this is coming next week is the Lunch with Linda is go to the stinking audition, courage. So it's about, you go to the stinking audition. You got to have courage. But if you do one more, if you go to one more audition than anyone else, if you go make one more sales call than anyone else, if you're generous and kind, 1 minute more, if you're practicing your music, one more reps make you better. And habitual obsession to one more changes the game. So here's the thing. Have you ever felt like not doing one more? Well, shut up. I don't want to do one more. I want to watch one more episode of a Netflix show that I'm watching. Right? So figure out how you can do one more small thing. Like Mel Collins in her book, The 5-Second Rule, just says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up and do something. Get up and move your body. Get up and just do something. Good luck with that. Report back how it's going during a pandemic, because it's freaking hard during this time. Now, a task that I've done for a second, but I keep going back to, I write it in my journal, is I take stock of everything I've learned in my life. I just like write it down. What have I learned? I've learned how to count musicians in without having them be too mad at me. I've learned how to choreograph a industrial in one day when everyone else in the world needs 10. I've learned, you know what I mean? So go through and be really, really generous about what you have learned and how you have grown in your life. And you're going to look back and you're going to go, I don't suck too bad, right? I am having a moment of recognizing my greatness. So take stock. Number 4 is, this is like a perfect time to skill up. Not scale up, but skill up. It's a great opportunity to learn how to do new things. So you have to ask yourself, how am I in a time when I don't have to hustle or don't want to hustle because I'm scared or I'm anxious or I'm sadder than sad can be sad? How can I skill up? How can I develop something in my life? If you're going to be great, you have to be willing to do what average people are unwilling to do. Hustle means sacrifice, sweat, hard work, long days, and crazy determination. But we all know, everyone on this page knows that it's in the hard stuff that we love it the most, right? If it was easy, it was like, yeah. But our humanness wants it to be easy, dang it. But it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be worth it. So that is number 4. So in review, you have to be really intentional, know your why. Number 2, you have to max out all in, right? I forgot my words. I wish that I was super smart and I could always remember all the things that I say, but I can't. So it's super important to just continue to work forward. Number 4 or number 5, the final one, is that you have to master your body. Now that doesn't mean you have to become like, 2% body fat and be able to run a marathon. It means that you need to take care of your physical body. In Brendon Burchard's book, that's another one on the reading list, High Performance Habits. It's really good. He does a motivation manifesto, which is actually super confusing, and I couldn't get through it because it was a little bit too much. But in High Performance Habits, he did like a 5-year study of people who were high performers and how they got better at their skill. And one of the things he said is that 75% of the high performers, and that's not people who are making the most money, it's people who have really super balanced lives. And the money is an outcome of a very balanced life. 75% of those people exercise 5 days a week. That doesn't mean that you are like killing yourself. It just means 30 minutes. Something. Move your body, jump around, take the dog for a walk. It's more important, rather than diet and fitness, it really is that you're conscious of your body in a healthy way every day. Tony Schwartz in the Harvard Business Review wrote, "The true measure of greatness is our capacity to navigate between our opposites with agility and grace, to accept ourselves exactly as we are, but never stop trying to be better." And Winston Churchill says, "To go from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm." So those things help us to become greater every day. You know, taking care of ourselves, being intentional, knowing our why, hustling in the midst of not wanting to hustle, even if it's for a second. You know what I mean? Just get up for a second. Makes it better.
And feels kind of impossible sometimes. So,
does anyone ever feel that way? Do you ever feel like who you want to be compared to who you are now feels impossible? Good. Then that means you're doing it right. That means you're doing it right. If you're just sitting there going, "I'm fine," you will be fine. And those of you who know me know that fine to me is a 4-letter word. Because you should be freaking fantastic, not just fine. But fine comes with a sacrifice and a struggle. In the Alice in Wonderland, Alice says, "This is impossible." And the Mad Hatter says, "Only if you believe it is." Right? Will it happen on your timeline and when you want it to? I'm going to say probably not. Will it happen the way you wanted it to? I'm going to say probably not. There are people in here who have done the youth education series at Disneyland. And an Imagineer activity is the impossible window activity. And many of you know this. It's where you write your dream in a window and then you write impossible on the top and then you cross out the I am, which makes it possible. It's a really great activity. When we were developing and creating our more advanced program, I wanted to dissect that dream distill it down to words. Distill it down to its very core basic. So say your dream was to become a football player. Is that anybody's dream on these pages? I doubt it. But my dream is to become a football player. Okay, but what about being a football player do you love? I love the teamwork. I love the physical aspect. I love working towards a goal. Okay, so there's 3 things, and if you take those 3 words and you look at them and you're like, oh, you know what? That could be in a lot of different things. I could do that having a bike club. You know, I could do that while arranging or composing something new. Quoting Brendan Burchard, "By deeply contemplating higher aims, we energize ourselves to pursue them." And so mature adults, which we're all mature adults here, mature adults realize that motivation is not an accident, not so much a feeling as it is a conscious commitment to a motive, a choice towards something, a deeply held reason to act. We feel motivated because we choose to, not just because the sun chose to shine on our side of the street. So if you want more motivation in your lives, you must make clear choices and deeply commit to them. I was like, oh, I hate when people like drop knowledge. And I'm like, I don't want to, right? But it is about just taking one little step in a direction that is better. But I'm going to tell you what I've discovered. I've discovered that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Now, I learned that from Dr. Ron McCurdy, but it's actually an African proverb. So Ron taught me that. And the reality is that when we go together, the journey is so much more gratifying and beautiful. It's so much more full. I have a wonderful friend, Chris McPherson, and teaches leadership classes, and a lot of you have heard of him or taken his classes. And he talks about how different substances react in hot water. So you have boiling hot water, and you put a carrot or a potato into boiling hot water, and it becomes soft. You take boiling hot water and you put an egg in it, and it becomes hard. You take boiling hot water and you put coffee beans in it, and it changes the water. So I often think, as I continue to go along this path of figuring out my greatness, how can I change the water? How can I, and the insecure, Linda says, who am I to think I could? But the reality is, who am I not? Who are you not to think you could change the water to be greater than you ever, ever, ever imagined? Because you see, my friends, the people on this page, there's only one of you in all of the world. And if you don't share who you are, it is lost forever. Well, I'm lucky enough that I know pretty much everyone on this page. And I'm telling you, you are great already. You were saved for this time during this pandemic. Do you realize that there's like 1 in 300 trillion chances that you would be here right now? The pandemic is hard, but really it's more inconvenient than it is hard. And we're all just trying to figure it the frick out together. So those are the thoughts of Linda for what they're worth. Does anyone have any comments, questions, thoughts? Throw them out there. Let's talk about them. Raise your hand. I haven't even looked at page 2. Hi, you guys. Oh my gosh. Anybody?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Amber.
Alex B.
Hi.
Hi, Alex B.
Hi, Linda. One of the things that you mentioned that really resonated with me was the African proverb.
Yeah.
And I've said for a while, there's almost the same kind of thing. It's like alone I run, but together we fly.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, we always have to, rely on kind of ourselves, like to find the motivation, but we don't have to do it alone.
Mm-mm. We don't. And you know what? I love, if you're a bookworm like I am, Brene Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness, is beyond awesome, because we want to belong, but that doesn't mean we're going together, right? It depends on how you belong. And at the end of the day, you have to belong to you first, and then pick your brothers and sisters up and take them with you. That's great. Thanks, Alex.
Welcome.
Anybody else? Throw down some knowledge. I'm going to see if this works.
Looking at page 2 here.
Looking at page 2.
Everyone's quiet today.
Everyone's so quiet. So are you quiet because you think I'm crazy, or are you quiet because you're happy? Crazy? Oh, that's okay. You can think I'm crazy because crazy is the best, right? If you're not crazy, you're not doing it right. Right? Yeah, we got to just help each other. We have to help each other grow. We have to help each other move forward. And that's where the brilliance is.
Linda.
Yeah.
Hey, Miss Linda, how are ya?
Hi.
Hey, so I have a question for you. So you know that you and I have talked in the past about getting feedback and challenging ourselves. So how do you continue to do that?
Oh, I'm horrible at it. I actually got coached on this like 2 weeks, like before we went away. And the creative director at Disneyland said to me, Linda, you don't take feedback. You always justify. TJ called me out on it too. So they said, we give you feedback and you go, nuh-uh, this is why, and always have a justification. So that is definitely something I'm working on, is getting feedback. And I think the most perfect thing is take the no. Take the no. Ask for it. Know that sometimes you're going to get feedback that like breaks your heart, and sometimes you're going to get feedback that fills your heart, but just take the no. And then put it in your sifter and sift out what you can learn, because even the most negative feedback, like you're dumb and you should stop doing what you're doing right now because you have no talent or gift and you're lame. Okay.
Who would say that to you, but okay.
Well, but they might. I mean, I am not everyone's cup of tea for sure. You know, and then you go, okay, so what can I learn from that? There's always something. And I think as performers and artists, sometimes we're so stinking tender, right? Because our artists are like, they're us. When someone makes fun of me as a performer or an artist, they're making fun of me. They're not making fun of my painting or my book. You know, they're making fun of me. So that's hard. Yeah, take the no. That's what I do. That's what I'm working on.
Thanks, friend.
Anybody else? Megan, I loved your comments last week about how to get everybody on board to wanting to be great. And I think that sometimes it's just being an example, even when they don't want it. So continuing to show up, and I believe in you, you're great. I'm never going to lower my standards. I believe in you, you're great. You know, I think I had to say, well, I don't think I had to one time say, if you don't like my choreography and you don't like the music you're playing, then you need to seriously evaluate your participation in this ensemble, because this is what it is. So sometimes we get into situations where we don't necessarily like what we're doing, but your job is to figure out how to make whatever you're doing great. That's, you know, whatever you're doing. And there'll be lots and lots of critics. Super easy to sit in the bleachers. Super easy to sit in the bleachers and to pass judgment on people. Right? Who cares? You have to also decide who you're going to value with those criticisms, who you're going to say, there's always something to learn. So, I could learn from that, or there's something I could take from that, and I am not going to allow that to destroy me. You have to just keep moving forward. One little baby frickin' stupid step at a time. Remember, movement is movement. Tate.
So I have a question about sort of gauging your own progress toward your end goal. In a field like we have, where it's so gray, it's really hard to measure like your own progress. And especially Craig Rochelle says, feedback is common, helpful feedback is rare. But the most important feedback is from yourself, and sometimes it's really hard to like keep track of where you are on your steps. Do you have any tips for tracking your own progress?
Don't you wish that there was like a Fitbit or an app that you could have that would say, you're doing great today? There isn't. There's not supposed to be. So I know Tate, and I know the thing I love the most about Tate is she's like, I want to know A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Just give me the thing. And the reality is that go do the task I said. Go back and look at your accomplishments. Go back and look at the progress that you have made, and you will be surprised. But usually progress doesn't go like this. Can you see on my screen? It goes like this. It's a switchback. It's that whole thing that John Maxwell said, is that you can if you have a picture, you can say, oh, look, I have the red puzzle piece exactly where it's supposed to go. But in life, you just got to do your life. So Tay, I think you're doing a great job.
Ah, shucks.
I think you've made really great progress doing a lot of things, and I'm very proud of you. So for what that is worth. Hard worker, hardest worker I know, can build a house.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah. Did that answer your question? Okay. Anybody else? Justin Minnick, I love Justin's questions because he usually like slams me. Go ahead.
No, there's no slam here.
I love you so much. That's why when I see your face, it makes me the happiest human ever.
The question I always have is, you know, of course, yes, progress is like this, and yes, we have to keep getting up and trying because our rewards aren't necessarily the ones that we want. They're given to us in a different order. But I always find the hardest part for me is usually there's two parts of it. It's the after the audition, the waiting, and then it's the finding out.
Yeah.
So in the waiting part, that is when that's usually when I'm not positive. And I don't know if there's anything you can comment about that part, like how do you like fight through that area? And then on the results part, whether it's good or bad, there is like relief on either side. So
just let me know. Just it's like waiting when other people are getting calls, right? Like, oh, so-and-so, Fifi just got a call, and Susie just got a call, and oh, they're never going to call me, and yeah, you just have to know that most of the time, Justin, it's out of your hands.
Right. Well, and I think a lot of that is why it's negative. So, but I don't know if there's any way, you know, other than just like the acceptance of like, that's the process.
Control what you can control. You can't control a casting process, you know. They may have wanted a girl that was blonde and 5'8", you know, and you are blonde today and 5'4", and they're going to call every girl that's blonde and 5'8" that they liked first. And then when they can't get them, they go, you know, Linda probably would do. So or they have to in a casting situation, you have to kind of see what all the pieces are. And sometimes you have to lay the foundation before you can lay the external pieces. It never makes it any easier, except I think that you can control what you can control. You can control your attitude. And most of the time in an audition world, I love this saying, Sue Hamilton said this, you're really not auditioning for the thing you're auditioning for the next thing. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, dang it, I sure wish that it was easier, because it happens to me too. Especially when you see what other people are doing, you're like, oh, well, he's doing the Spider-Man show and he's doing that show, and then you're like, I'm a loser, and then you're like, no, you're just supposed to, yours is coming. This is next, it's not no, it's just not yet. So I think that's that growth mindset too. Also, we're going to talk about this more next week on the audition one, but I have a lost combs theory. You know, like you have a hairbrush. In my house, it's scissors. Okay, scissors disappear like you cannot even believe how scissors disappear. There's 5 pairs of scissors on my desk, and then there's 0 scissors. So how I solved that frustration as I went out and I bought a bunch of scissors, like 12 scissors. And I put scissors in everyone's room. And then I put a couple in my office and I hid some. So now when the scissors get lost, I'm like, where are the stinking scissors? Oh, well, there's this other pair that I have hidden. And so that sometimes helps too for me. In the audition world and in the performing arts world and in life, you will get a lot more no's than you will get yes. So you just have to say, I'm going to get 100 no's before I get my 1 yes. And so when you don't get something, go 99 to go. and then maybe you do 99 auditions, then you go 102 to go, and then I'm gonna get 2 in a row. It's gonna be great.
That's where I find that the most people are the most resilient. You know, any artist that's doing that, putting themselves out there, you know, is in that. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna go to another audition.
That's right.
And that is both on the good and the bad. You know, even if you win the audition or you don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's part of the process. If you hate auditioning and going out for things, show business is not the thing for you. Or going back, if you know your why so huge, you would just keep going because you know your why.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks, Justin. Good question.
Linda,
go ahead. Anne. Did everybody get all the things that they need, like the Jen Hatmaker's book, Fierce, Free, and Full of Fire, the 5 things that you can do, create a vision, turn your adversity into advantage, cultivate champion mindset, skill up, and master your body? Everybody got what you needed? Again, I'm just going to read this last little thing. You are the most valuable treasure on the face of the earth, for you know who created you, and there is only one of you. Never in all the 70 billion humans who have walked this planet since the beginning of time has there been anyone exactly like you. Never until the end of time will there be another one just like you. Be great. The end.
thank you so much, Linda. I love these. I look forward to every back next Thursday with Linda. I know you all will be there because this is like my favorite part of the week. Shout out to family. I love you guys.